Welcome back to the Foreign Report, your weekly foreign policy show that gives you the gory details of geopolitics with hopefully some laughs along the way. Very difficult at this point to do that, but we are going to do that here today. I'm Seena Ghaznavi, your foreign policy curious host. Our guest host, Travis Irvine, is with us. We all know, Columbia Journalism School grad. What?
Good luck with that.
And our special guest today,
Yeah.
co-CEO of Last Podcast Network, and one of the hosts of Last Podcast on the Left, Marcus Parks.
And Texas Tech graduate, please.
Yeah. Where's your hat?
Bachelor's degree in creative writing, please.
There you go.
That's
But a
actually
minor
very good.
in mass communications.
And also
Oh, wow.
co-host of No Dogs in Space. As always, check out the Foreign Report LPN@gmail.com. Send us a email with your questions. Subscribe to our YouTube channel that we will link to our in this description. Rate us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Say nice things. Say nice things.
Say nice things.
Okay. Sign up for our newsletter every Monday. We give you a little update because we're recording here on Wednesday. What is it? The 21st. Episode drops a couple days later, and so we like to do a little update for people on Mondays. I don't look at the comments, but some of the comments upset me.
Yeah.
You seem to only look at the comments that upset you.
One day I will, because I give this advice to people that I produce and stuff like that. Don't
Yeah,
respond.
don't look at the comments.
Don't look at the comments. Don't respond to the
And
comments.
then you go.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I am like, I got the hand twitch. Like I am about to start. One day I'm gonna go into a complete flurry and start responding to all
all
the
of them?
comments.
I would advise against.
Yeah, I'm
And
gonna.
then Henry's gonna be pounding on my door
Yeah, dude, I will-
and take me by the ankles
I will
away
chop off
from the
your
keyboard.
hand, sir.
Don't. This isn't the way.
Life's too short for negative comments.
Yeah.
Do what you should. Everyone should just let the things they don't like die a slow death.
Yes.
Like, just let it die in obscurity if you don't like it.
Yeah, and only comment I ever read was the one that said I was hot, and I was like, boom, I'm done looking.
Oh man, we have a great show today for all the not great things happening in the world. We're going to talk about Trump's Middle East trip and all the deals that have been happening or that are in progress since he came into office. We're going to talk about how that realignment is impacting the people of Gaza, literally the civilians in Gaza. That's what we're going to really center the second part of the show on. And then in the last part of the show, we don't have too much J.D. Vance stuff, but I hear that we're going to hear from Kristi Noem.
Don't worry, there's plenty of other dumb people in this administration.
So to get us started, Marcus, I want to kind of lay out a little bit of like this very conflicting thing that I'm feeling right now. And at home in America, in the great United States of America, we have a president that is like renditioning people, because these are not deportations. These are renditions to El Salvador, like we did during, the post 9/11 days when we renditioned someone to a CIA black site. There's just a jail or a prison in El Salvador that we're renditioning people to.
Rendition. I don't remember that word from the Guantanamo Bay days.
Oh, yeah, it was a great one. Extraordinary rendition.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah. Wow. That's
You haven't read enough torture material.
Yeah.
And I think that might be
has?
offensive for me to say to someone like you.
I have read plenty of torture material. It's just 19th century torture material, 18th century torture material, 17th century.
Right.
So I know a lot about
The
torture.
classics.
But yeah, I'm kind of like, when it comes to, I'm sort of like it used to be a lot better. Torture used to be great. Now
It's
ugh.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Trump is challenging as
Waterboarding,
well.
give me a pair of anguish any day of the week.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Plenty to discuss on that, right? There's actually a book on Assad torture practices that is like sitting on my desk that I keep looking at, and I
Oh.
read like 5 pages. I'm like, maybe not now.
Yeah,
maybe
the book
later.
is torture.
Assad or Mossad?
Assad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Real, like, very, like, he is, like, inspired torture in the region.
Wow.
But also at home, we got the birthright citizenship case that's at the Supreme Court.
Right.
I listened to the whole oral arguments because
Yeah.
I'm a super cool guy.
And it was on NPR, so
It was-
I also listened.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
And I think that's insane. That case, we won't go into it really, but I mean, I don't think that's going to go through at all. And then, of course, he's a safe haven for corruption. So all this stuff is happening domestically, but abroad, what I want us to think about, and people at home that are watching and listening, I want you to also think about all the moves that we're going to talk about that Trump has made have fundamentally realigned America's role in the world.
Yeah.
And if that results in a bit of reprieve for the civilians in Gaza, is it worth 10 more Qatari planes with Trump's name on the side of it?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so let's just start with this.
All right.
Keep that in your mind.
Dive in.
Keep
All right.
that. Sheikh John Jr., okay, just get ready. So Trump went to Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Qatar, and the result, we have a huge shift in his foreign policy. Everything is a fucking transaction now.
Oh, yeah.
Alliances are not based on values anymore. Like, we used to at least feign this feeling of democracy, as that's why we're starting a deal, and then it was about the money.
Oh no, Seena, we're not giving lectures anymore. Remember, we're not giving lectures anymore. We're not going to tell these people how to live their lives.
No. Just pay me to be my friend.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It sounds a lot like how Trump parented as well for his kids.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So then there's like this defense deal with Saudi, Qatar, and UAE, and the Saudi deal especially, which is so strange how these men in power find the numbers. Because the deal that actually is happening is a $142 billion arms deal, which is very big.
Right.
But we also have a military deal with them. We've been doing that for years, for decades, right?
Yeah.
So that is a huge deal. They've said it's a $600 billion investment that Saudi Arabia is doing, so we don't know where the rest of the money is. And then Trump is saying he wants to increase it to $1 trillion.
In arms?
What does that even mean?
It's a lot of arms.
Trillion.
$1 trillion. Well, I mean, the way that I take it, as far as this deal goes, is, you know, I hope I'm not jumping too far ahead here.
No, whatever. You know, it's talk radio here.
But you know, you bring up, like, I don't know where the rest of that money is going, and the tariffs and all of the fuckery that surrounded the tariffs, and all of the instability that it created amongst the world, and all of the instability it created with our allies in Europe, and the way that people are looking at America now, like, they're not looking at us as, you know, the stable, shining city on the hill. Like, they're not looking at us as like, okay, well, you know, America has its problems, but at least they're not incredibly corrupt. You know, at least they've got, you know, the world's best interest in mind. At least they're not going to let things fall apart. That's not the case anymore. Europe does not look at us that way anymore. The rest of the world doesn't look at us like that anymore. Canada certainly doesn't look at us like that anymore. Like the people, the way that we used to be seen is the way that we are seen in the world has fundamentally changed. But you know, monkeys still got to get fed. You know, the capitalism still has to survive. American capitalism still has to survive. So where are we going to go for that?
Well, and
we're going to go to the Middle East. We're going to completely rip up every value that we pretended to have. You know, we of course, you know, America wasn't always the best at practicing what it preached, but at the very least, we pretended to have values. But we've ripped up any pretense of caring about human rights, caring about anything that might resemble democracy. We're now just going to the people that will have us, and it is Saudi Arabia, it's Qatar, it's the UAE. That's who's going to have us, and this is going. I mean, what this is it's just another symptom of the, you know, what we're in the middle of right now. It's like the biggest. I think when people look back at this era, what they're going to see is that the biggest consequence of this era is the reshuffling of the world from the post-World War II, you know, order of things, you know, where America is at the top and America is aligned with Europe. That is over. It's gone. And this, I think, is going to be seen as a huge first step towards whatever the world order is going to look like for the next 20, 30 years. Right?
Sure.
This is it. I don't think that we can overstate how incredibly consequential this deal is.
I 100% agree. And not just in foreign policy terms for like an arms deal. NVIDIA, AMD, Amazon are all helping build out Saudi Arabia's AI infrastructure now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So no big deal. You know what I remembered as well? Not a single Saudi Arabian was in 9/11.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
They're not a single one.
No.
They were all They were all Persians.
And Travis, the Saudi Arabian government wasn't involved in that at all,
No,
right?
no, they just had a bunch of people flown out right after, big Bin Laden family members, things like that. It's totally fine. The Bushes and the Saudis never had a deal, never friends, never attended each other's family functions in Texas and Saudi Arabia. Totally fine.
Yeah.
You're hearing it first. Then the Qatar deal. Qatar obviously gave them that big gift, right? Well, there's a lot in that.
Oh, the palace in the sky?
Trump was upset that Boeing didn't get him a plane fast enough, so the Qataris were like, we'll give you this one because we've been trying to sell it for 5 years and no one will buy it.
Yep.
And they also ordered 210 Boeing aircrafts, which is like the largest in history, which is funny because it's like if you were upset that you weren't getting your plane fast enough, what do you think's going to happen now? 210.
Order.
Did you slip on the thing with the Amazon order?
Your order says 200. Did you mean 2?
Yeah.
I actually meant 20.
Oh, okay.
$12 billion in defense agreements, and they're going to invest $4 billion. Now, Qatar has helped. We talked about this last week. Build out U.S. military bases in Qatar. So now they are going to invest $4 billion in the Al Udeid air base, where the U.S. Air Force operates for free.
Okay.
And then the UAE. They will invest $1.4 trillion over the next decade, focusing on AI, semiconductors, and energy sectors. The deal was made to establish AI data centers outside of the U.S. in Abu Dhabi in collaboration with the Emirati firm G42, but to be run by U.S. companies. So the size is supposed to be 5 gigawatts. So I didn't really know how much that was, so I did some little digging. 5 gigawatts. So that's more than 8 yearly Hoover dams of energy.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
That's a lot.
So $4 billion is also going to an aluminum smelting factory in Oklahoma, which when I read this, I was like, wait a minute, surely we have aluminum smelting. I'm from Pittsburgh. Alcoa is a big aluminum company. They've done a bunch of stuff. I always heard about them. But apparently we only have 4 in the country.
Really?
And it's the UAE that's making this investment.
Yes, and they're going to build one in Oklahoma. And then I was like, wait a minute. If the UAE is building an aluminum smelting factory, is UAE management going to be on site in Oklahoma?
Oh, good luck with that.
My God, they're not going to enjoy that at all.
Nobody's going to enjoy that.
I have a hard time in Oklahoma.
Yeah, right?
Seriously, the last time we went to Oklahoma City to play a show,
that's right.
we tried going out afterwards, and I almost got beat up a few times, just for hanging out. And it's just me. And I'm white. I'm as white as you can fucking be.
You look like you're in the crew.
No, I don't. They can smell it. They can smell it on me.
They can smelt it on you. Come on, folks.
Well, I just thought about Sarah Huckabee Sanders sitting with a bunch of sheiks at the Ruby Tuesday.
She hopped over from Arkansas. That's funny. I heard from the Page 7 people and the Whiz Brew and Travis Morningstar that Oklahoma's a terrible place to tour.
Yeah.
Which,
what is going to happen there?
Oh, no, we had a guy get into a fight with the cops during the show. That's only happened in Oklahoma City, Seattle, and Boston.
wow.
Okay, so here's the question. Now that we did this little rundown,
It's a rundown.
we didn't even get to we got more realignments. But has Trump truly unmasked America now that we're doing these deals with these countries?
God, yes.
Yeah.
No. This is as naked as it gets. There's no pretense anymore as far as what we care about, what we believe in, and what others can get away with. And I think that's going to be the big consequence of it now, where people are no longer going to ask, what does America think about this? Which I think in the past, when it came to foreign policy, I think most countries, it was one of the first questions they would ask. He's like, how is America going to respond to this?
Right.
And I don't think they're going to ask that question anymore.
No, they're just we'll just pay them.
Yeah, we'll just pay them. Or they're not going to pay attention.
Yeah.
They're not going to care. We're not going to care about human rights violations.
If you can't pay attention in a way. Because I remember what Marcus was saying earlier about we used to be this shiny city on the hill. And now the way you were talking, many other parts of the world looking at us like the last house on the left. I think would be an appropriate reference. But then it's like the people with the money are like, hey, why don't we go check this place out? And if you got the ticket, you can take the ride.
Yeah.
And that seems to be kind of the way. And it's very Trumpy, isn't it? Right? There's just like, hey, if you got the money, come see me, baby.
I mean, we're already selling citizenship.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
The gold card.
The gold ticket. Yeah, the gold card that we're already selling VIP passes to America.
Yeah.
But I think that when it comes to foreign policy, like this sends a massive, massive message to the rest of the world as to what America is all about now.
Yeah.
And it's, I keep telling myself, every day, like, just wait it out. Once this is over, we can go in and we can fix it, and we can, but it's one of those things where the longer this goes on, I feel sort of like a house fire, where, right now, like the curtains are burnt and the smoke smell is going to be in the house for a very long time. But the longer the administration goes on, it's, I just wonder, it's like, are we going to have to rebuild the entire fucking house? Are we going to have to rebuild it all from scratch? And how long is that going to take? And who's going to take advantage in the meantime?
Right.
I don't think Democrats had the backbone, or else they would have already done that, to take a house down to the studs and rebuild it. And that's what Trump is basically doing here. And what's probably going to happen, I think, is like a lot of remodeling. And if you've ever done any remodeling, it is a nightmare.
It is.
Right.
It is.
Well, it makes me think of one of his casinos that he blows up.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
and then you build a new one. That's the casino business. That's their business model.
I mean, the way I think about it, it's more like Trump is the fire. And America is the house, and the longer the fire burns, the longer it's going to take for whoever comes in next to rebuild. And I honestly question whether we will ever rebuild. Like,
I don't think it's a rebuilding thing. I think this is the building, and then it's like there's going to be slight adjustments. I actually have a very high tolerance under normal circumstances for conservatives being in positions of power, foreign policy-wise, because they would generally follow the rule of law, and they would know that the alliances are what makes us strong, and that's the thing that we do, and we talk about democracy. And then, of course, the actions, like the Iraq War, would be like, this is absurd. What are we doing here, guys? And Libya and all of these things are just like strike your conscience, and everything that's happening in Gaza is awful. You have President Biden, who's said he's a Zionist, and then like doing all like supporting it. But now we're unmasked. Right? And now there's this huge alignment, and Trump is going into the Middle East, and MBS says, hey, can you lift the sanctions on Syria? And he's like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Can you change the name of the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Gulf? Yeah, no problem.
Sure.
On Google, it says Arabian Gulf in parentheses now.
What?
Really?
They took away your Gulf.
No, it's still Persian Gulf.
All right.
But it's in parentheses below it, Arabian Gulf. And I'm like, oh, hell no.
What's going on, Google?
Hell no.
Google can't make up their minds. That's a bit much.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
Yeah, and I also have a lot of questions. You said Iraq War, and my brain was like, oh, I remember that from college.
Okay, so, we are, you mentioned a lot of defense deals, and a lot of, so with those defense deals, is it that these countries are buying... They're buying, planes, missiles, guns, so on and so forth from America.
Correct. F-35s or whatever,
For what purpose? Because who is Saudi Arabia's enemy? Who is Qatar's enemy? Who is the UAE's enemy? Like who is it that they're afraid of here?
It's kind of each other. There's actually a little bit of an arms race happening in the Middle East right now. And Iran, Islamic Republic of Iran especially. Yeah. And so they are almost in their new Cold War era where they want to be, and obviously Israel as well.
Well, obviously. And that was going to be the follow-up.
Yeah. they are getting all of this. Because, they didn't all get together and be like, let's do one defense deal, like UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. No, they're getting their own stuff. They're getting their own AI infrastructure. They're getting their own things because they want to build up their own power in an arms race. And we are like what was that Nick Cage movie? Was War Gun something?
Face Off. 8mm.
Pigs.
City of Angels.
Wicker Man. Not the bees. Not the bees.
But like that, it's like we're like weapons dealers now.
Yeah.
We're funding and giving all of these or selling all of these weapons, and we're ignoring the consequences of what could happen. Again, what happens if MBS passes away and someone more conservative comes in from the family to run the country? Who knows?
Well, who is it? MBS?
Mohammed bin Salman.
Okay, and
So he runs Saudi Arabia.
Runs Saudi Arabia. Okay,
Yeah. And so, like, who knows? Someone else could come in. Look, this guy, the president of or al-Shara, who's running Syria, was in 2017. He had a $10 million bounty on his head because he was in Al Qaeda. Now, by the way, I think we're going to hear a lot more about this guy because you do not go from like Al Qaeda soldier general guy to dignified man in a suit, like shaking hands with MBS and President Trump, unless there was like a branding company that came in to help you. You know what I mean? You're not just Googling, like, how do I change myself? There was an interview he did with CNN that I found that I was like coming up for me when I was thinking about this, was that his answer to like, why were you in Al Qaeda? What are you like now? How can people trust you? His answer was, I was a young kid.
Yeah.
I'm older and more wise now. Like, homie, like, I don't know, like, young kid shenanigans is like skateboarding on school property and smoking pot, not mass murder.
Yeah. That is a very interesting idea because I was watching. Did you watch that the Turning Point 9/11 series?
I don't think so.
It was great. It was on.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix. They do a Turning Point. It's actually a pretty good series. But they were talking about Afghanistan in the 80s and the 90s, and specifically in the 90s, like after the Soviets left and before 9/11, of course, and the guys that were talking about Afghanistan in the 90s were talking about it like it was the best frat party they'd ever been in. Like they were like, you just hang out with guys. Like we're just guys hanging out all the time. We're having fun, and there's no women around, and like the women are all doing it. But it's just guys having a good. And they were talking about like you would talk about a school trip or like a fond high school memory. So I do kind of see what he's talking about. Like it's like they did talk about it in the tone of like it's boys being boys, taking away women's rights. Like it's just the way it goes. It was a great time. Everyone was poor. We had no running water. We had no electricity. But my God, the friends we made.
By the way, I want to circle back. That movie that Nicolas Cage was in was called Lord of War.
Thank you.
It took me forever to find it because Nicolas Cage has been making hundreds and hundreds of straight-to-video movies in other countries for the last 10 years. So that was a 2005 movie. But to your reference, that was the U.S.'s role in the world, right? In the post-World War II is we had the weapons, we'll sell them to you, right? It's the old Bill Hicks bit of how do we know Iraq and Saddam Hussein has such great weapons? Well, we looked at the receipts.
Yeah.
Right? And it's almost, I know we want to move on to Israel and Gaza here in the B block, but you made me think about Iraq, and it's like in the post-World War II order, the Middle East was always kind of like an afterthought, right? And
that's the whole problem.
And that was the whole problem, right? Because you had coups going on. You had weapons being sold. We are arming these guys so they can take care of these guys. And now it's almost like as the old adage that our chickens are coming home to roost. But this time they got a bunch of money, and at least they're paying for the poop.
Yeah, it's out in the open. And so... And we'll get to Israel and Gaza right after the break here, but I kind of want to just, like, I was thinking a lot about this, and there's a part of me, oh God, that almost appreciates the transparent corruption. It's almost honest corruption that we're in right now.
Right.
And
well, it's policy.
Yeah, it's a policy that we're seeing clearly in front of our eyes. There's no hiding of it, right?
There's no big orb that they're all putting their hands on like they did in the first administration.
And to your point earlier, we're not pretending it's about democracy and just using capitalism at the play here, right? The Iraq War is a great example, right? Completely fictional reasons to go to and invade Iraq.
Hell, even back to Vietnam, like how much money was made on Vietnam.
Exactly. So I hate the content of what we're doing, right? The policies, the substantive policies themselves, I hate. But I think the thing that I'm taking away is, wow, there's some sort of clarity here. And the fact that Israel is getting iced out of this negotiation with the Houthis, where the U.S. made a deal with the Houthis, don't bomb any or don't fire rockets at any U.S. ships. They're like, fine, but we'll still fire rockets at Israel. They're like, wait a minute. And then the U.S. was like, yeah, I don't care. It's fine. Whatever you want to do. Same thing with this soldier, this IDF soldier that was released. That was a direct negotiation between the U.S. and Hamas and Qatar, by the way.
Yeah.
And so
to get the last American hostage out. Yeah.
And so that was like, okay, this is something that Biden would have never done.
Mm-mm.
And so there's a weird glimmer of hope for the people of Gaza in a very strange way that I'm seeing that I would have never even seen under the Biden administration.
Yeah.
Which is like the storm inside my body.
Yeah.
I think I'm growing more chest hair, which is very difficult. But like, it's just like it's giving me a lot of energy in a very weird way, and it's very confusing, and I want to learn more about it and understand how it all plays out. But wow, this is a crazy time.
It is, and I do understand I understand the energy that you have. I have more terror because everything is it's the clarity is refreshing.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
Sure,
the clarity is refreshing, but it also shows me that there's no real plan, and there's no real. Well, there may be a plan, but there's no there's no foresight. They're not looking at the consequences of these things, or if they are looking at the consequences, they just don't care. They're not looking at the consequence of us saying we're not going to give lectures anymore, and saying that's the thing. It's like you don't. I of course was against the Iraq War. I'm
sure.
of course against nation building. I'm of course against going in and telling other countries how to live. That doesn't mean we need to be business partners with them.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we need to shift our country's economy. It doesn't mean we need to shift our economy towards dealing with countries that have terrible records on human rights, terrible records on democracy, who do not care about anything above $1. It doesn't mean that we need to do that either. There is a middle way. That is not necessarily isolationist, but it's not also just welcoming in whoever it is that has enough money to buy a ticket.
The biggest question, and let's take a break after this, but what does America stand for? And I don't think we could even answer that right now because
money. That's it.
No idea. Other than money.
Money. Yeah. That would be my answer. Is America stands for making money, and we are no longer hiding it.
Marcus Parks, Travis Irvine, Seena Ghaznavi. This is the Foreign Report. We'll be right back to talk about what's happening in Gaza. Welcome back to the Foreign Report. I'm Seena Ghaznavi. Travis Irvine and Marcus Parks are in the IRL studio. Oh my God, everything is going crazy. We just talked about all these crazy deals that are happening since Trump came into office, the realignment, the pivot toward the desert.
Yeah.
The desert pivot. And we're deepening these relationships. And what is abundantly clear is that compared to the Biden administration, the U.S. Israel relationship is weakening, if not the very least changing.
Yeah.
And the way I see it, at least, is that, and I've read some quotes from Trump, which I find funny. I think one of them I read was he told to Bibi to wrap it up in Gaza, which is like, oh my God, that is the craziest thing. And now you're seeing Bibi saying that he's going to go in and conquer Gaza completely. Like they're going to have an unprecedented invasion, which, by the way, I think in general, Netanyahu is going to do what Trump did with these renditions, which is try to outpace the courts. So he's going to try to outpace Trump making these deals with the Arab countries. And yeah, because if they make the deal before, you know what I mean? Like it's going to put a lot more pressure on Israel. And so Netanyahu's been blindsided by everything that's been happening right now. That's like a quote from him. And Trump is actually calling for a ceasefire and for aid to get into Gaza. Like,
what?
Where?
What's happening?
What? Where are we? What is happening?
Are you sure you're reading that right?
Trump has never said I'm a Zionist. Biden was like, I'm a Zionist.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, buddy. Like, we get it. Your actions have already spoken louder than you even just saying it. But Biden
louder.
is like, or Trump is clearly like annoyed by Bibi.
I mean,
That's bonkers.
he got the better deal.
He got a way better deal.
He got a better deal. And because I think before he was like, yeah, maybe I could put a hotel on the Gaza Strip.
Yeah.
Like maybe that could be a good
Right.
moneymaker for me. And that's what he cares about.
Which, by the way, Damascus, that's one of the reasons Al-Shabaab probably got the sanctions lifted, too. There's going to be a Trump Tower in Damascus.
Ah.
Oh, imagine that.
And all over the place.
But this part does actually give me like a tiny bit of hope. Because
hope is.
or
I'm
not,
still just.
I can feel the struggle to say that.
I know.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
not
confused.
Yeah, I'm definitely confused. But for me, what it shows me is that maybe the ultra Christian elements within his administration don't have as much influence as we thought they did.
Well, you could definitely see that whenever this was happening. Mike Huckabee came on Fox News and was just like, U.S. Israeli relationship stronger than ever.
Thanks.
Oh, I'm lifting weights. Oh, we're so strong.
Right.
You're like,
I keep forgetting he's the ambassador now, isn't he?
Yeah,
isn't that
just-
crazy?
ugh.
Ambassador Huckabee.
And that's the best. The fucking no ambassador in history has played bass like this fucking bass.
Oh, man.
Like this guy.
And
Oh my
he had
God,
a
I
great late
forgot
night
about
show.
that.
He
Yeah.
crushed
he
it.
looks like a bass player too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he
He's kinda
does.
Got that.
Yeah,
look.
but it also makes me question. Is like, well, if he's going softer on Israel, then what did he give them?
Well,
What did he give his more ultra Christian allies?
What he did give them is he's just saying ceasefire, wrap it up, but he's also just like not getting in the way.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
not stopping anything from happening.
Well-
He's kind of just letting them do their thing.
And in terms of transactional, as we just talked about in that segment with everyone else in the Middle East, Israel's not giving us any money, right? Like, we're giving them arms. We're making deals with them. And that's been part of our partnership, again, going back decades and decades and decades. And maybe, again, it's Trump being transactional, like, BB, what do you need? What do you need? You need more weapons. You need more money. What do you need that for me?
Yeah.
It was also one of the big arguments that people always made with Israel was, as far as a partnership goes, like, well, where are we going to put our military bases in the Middle East?
Right.
Now they're in Qatar.
Yeah. We don't
Whoa,
need, there's
so
no
That's
more.
a very good point.
Yeah.
Because that was during the Cold War, that was the original draw with Israel, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why Harry Truman was one of the first world leaders to recognize Israel as a state. It was like, this will be a huge advantage for us in the coming Cold War.
I've read a bunch of stuff that are basically all kind of saying it's not the geopolitical strategic importance that it used to be.
No.
It's not
Wow.
even close.
What about religious importance?
Well, of
Do we
course,
still care about that?
But that's what's important to separate out, right?
Yeah.
The political ideology of Zionism and the religion of Judaism, because you've got plenty of Jewish people that are against Zionism,
And BB.
and you've got a lot of Christian people that are for Zionism, like
Yes.
the ultra-right Christians and stuff like that. So I think that is a really incredibly important thing to separate here because, and also listen, I'm not a Zionist. I'm also not a Republican. Do I want all Republicans to die? No. Do I want Zionists to die? No. Israel exists. Republicans exist. I can't do anything about any of those things.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, here we are, folks. Okay? The other thing that Biden wouldn't do is negotiate directly with Hamas.
Yeah.
He sent Adam Bowler, which is like Jared Kushner's buddy, as like he's actually an actual negotiator to negotiate for the hostages.
It's always nice that we have
That's
to
really-
we have to make that distinction now.
He's
It's like,
not a hotel guy.
this guy did not work for WWE.
Yeah,
Okay? He is a negotiator.
He's not a Fox News producer.
He doesn't play the bass.
Yeah. But one of the things I found, and I don't think a lot of people are picking up this interview, is Jeremy Scahill's interview. He's got a site, Drop Site News. It's his new outfit since The Intercept. And he did an interview with Osama Hamdan, which is one of the OG Hamas leaders. This guy's a scientist. He's been there since the beginning.
and he's still in it now.
He's still in it now.
Yeah.
Older, he's in the back.
Yeah.
He's in the back. He's in the back. But what I found super interesting is, one, we don't hear from Hamas in the mass media, in the corporate media world. We just hear like the Israeli foreign minister getting into an argument again with Piers Morgan or whatever. And I'm like, my algorithm, I don't know about anyone else, but it's just filled with like angry Israeli politicians yelling at somebody. And I'm like, what is the other side? Like, who is? Lord knows we don't hear from Palestinians in a lot of other contexts as well. So take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, Hamas is Hamas, right? We all know all the stuff they've done. But I think it's also important that we're all smart people. I'm assuming everyone that listens, except the people that say mean things, are smart people. But I want to play a clip from this because he mentions Adam Bowler, Hamdan, and he was the one making a direct talk with him. And so let's play that clip.
The Trump people, they have done a good job in order to make that happen. But it's not enough. If we have to be honest and serious, it's not enough. When the meetings with Adam Boehler took place, there was a real possibility. This is why the Israelis were furious and they were angry.
Adam Boehler, just to remind people, was the U.S. Special Envoy on Hostages, also a close friend of Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of Donald Trump, and you and other Hamas officials met directly with Adam Bowler.
Yes.
You were one of the officials from Hamas to engage in the first direct talks with the United States.
Exactly. And I think there was a good chance. In fact, we've talked about politics, not only about the prisoner exchange issue. And I believe he heard something he didn't expect to hear from Hamas, not because we were trying to say that, because we have answered very specific questions, which everyone is asking, like your questions. How can we solve the problem? So we have our specific ideas about solving the problem. And this is why the Israelis are angry and they dislike to see any Palestinians talking directly to the United States administration, especially Hamas, because you are offering a right solutions, a right ideas, a good ideas, if I want to say, to be more specific. I think this is why we expect more from Trump administration, not just to keep the security of Israel, not just to listen to the Israeli side. All the world, mainly the United States administration, have to listen to the Palestinians. You have to listen to their side of the story. You can't see the issue by one eye. You have to see it by both eyes.
Yeah. So first, interesting to hear him speak and to just say Trump's doing a good job.
Right. Trump's people are doing a good job.
Yeah.
And so I think there's one thing that's happened. First of all, J.D. Vance canceled his trip to Israel. And
Which
so-
helps, by the
which
way.
is saying that-
Otherwise, a war or someone dies.
Yeah. Anytime JD Vance cancels anything,
Well,
helpful.
An angel gets its wings.
Right.
But he also, Anna Bowler also went on Fox News and was also saying that Israel and the U.S. have a strong relationship. So I still find that a little bit suspect when the fundamental fact that Israel doesn't want, or Bibi especially, doesn't want the United States talking to Hamas at all in this way. And so what we're seeing again is this realignment that Trump's seeing that Bibi has not cared about these hostages in a fundamental way. Trump's been in office for just a little bit, and he already got one is like a guy from Jersey, an Israeli-American soldier, got him sent home. And so this is a realignment that we're seeing. And all of a sudden, Hamdan is also talking about the ceasefire. And one of the things that's come up as well when it comes to the ceasefire is how long is it going to last? Israel has said, we're going to do a ceasefire for a couple months. Hamas has said, let's do 5 or 6 years, and let's include a pathway to a Palestinian state. Israel, of course, wants Hamas to drop their weapons, completely demilitarize, which is just like, what are we doing here? That's not going to happen.
No.
Okay? It's just not, this is not possible for that to happen without the promise of self-determination for the Palestinian people. There's another clip, Daniel, I'm setting this up, right? Yeah. There's another clip from this interview that talks about the ceasefire.
So you can guarantee Hamas will not agree to disarmament.
No, no one will agree.
Under any circumstance.
No one will agree or accept that.
And Hamas will not agree anymore to a short-term truce unless it leads to a path that has a clearly defined way of getting a permanent ceasefire and a full withdrawal of Israel. Is that true also?
That's true also.
So no short-term agreement unless it has
no
that.
need for short-term ceasefire, because simply when you say short-term ceasefire, it means, and we are coming back to kill you. Why to accept that? You are killing us. Why just to postpone that for 2 or 3 weeks?
I agree with him completely. I've always.
Did you just say you agree with Hamas?
Yeah, and that's what's crazy.
That's what's crazy right now.
Well, it is a question that I've had so many times when these ceasefires come up between Israel and Hamas, or Israel and whoever, is that there's a ceasefire, but Israel doesn't really wiggle a lot. It's pretty hard line with what it believes and what it wants and what it thinks it needs to survive in the Middle East, in the middle of a bunch of people who are actively trying to kill them at all times. Yeah, which I understand. But the ceasefire, like from their perspective, from the Palestinians' perspective, it's like, yeah, what's the point if it's just a pause on more bombings, more killings, for 3 weeks, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. So like if there's not a path to statehood or a path to some sort of amicable, agreement, what's the point?
There is a path which is like better than what the people of Gaza are in right now, which is with all of these deals that are being made with Saudi Arabia and the UAE and Qatar. The UAE could come in potentially and be a security force for Gaza and make sure that Hamas is not running operations toward Israel. And because I think at the core of this, right, what is Israel always saying for decades now? It's about security.
Yeah.
Right? And that stems, of course, from things that we already know. But at what cost is the question that I ask.
Of course.
Right? And when you're in a situation when the weapon of war is starvation or carpet bombing families and civilians and stuff like that, right? And there's a chance for the genocide to end, but the self-determination aspect of it is not necessarily there. That's still more hope than what they had before. I think about it as an Iranian American. If you gave me a chance that just the Islamic Republic, the mullahs that are running it, would not be in power, I would take it.
Yeah.
I would want it. Even if I didn't necessarily know what was on the other side, I'd be really afraid. But a lot of people in Iran feel that way. A lot of people in Iran are single-issue voters when it comes to the Islamic Republic, right? Because they've taken that whole country hostage. And so this is conflicting for me because I don't like Hamas. They're funded by the Islamic Republic.
Yeah.
They're bankrupting.
Don't get me wrong. Hamas is fucking terrible.
But it's like violence is only going to be begetting more violence.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can't have a situation like, even if Hamas is leveled militarily, right, and they're not like this force, like Hezbollah has been leveled as well, a suicide bomber doesn't cost much.
No.
So you're still going to have like a war, right, or back and forth and violence unless you have a political solution. And a political solution is at the core of all of this. If you look at the IRA, there was a political solution.
Yeah.
It's not like there won't be people that are anti-Semitic that are still going to be awful, right? But you can fix the political problem at the highest level and then provide a promising path for people to live and not starve and be killed by carpet bombs.
Yeah. Israel exists. We have to deal with that.
Yep.
Palestinians exist. We have to deal with that. And
Yeah.
there has to be a political solution to this because the other solution is genocide.
Yeah.
And that's, you can't have I don't know if Israel plans some sort of like Sherman's March on Gaza where they just completely decimate it.
Yeah.
But that's, these are not Viable solutions, of course.
And Bibi sees this shifting happen.
Yeah.
And my general conclusion for all of this is that, oh, okay, Bibi's not going to let this happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, one, he's going to try to go into Gaza real fast. And I think, two, we just heard last night, we're here sitting here Tuesday, we just heard last night that Bibi could very well attack Iran by the time this episode drops.
That's what I was going to say. Is what changed? Because just weeks ago, and we've obviously covered on this show that Bibi's not popular in his own country, right? Foreign policy is domestic policy. Bibi's in trouble domestically, politically. There's left-wing Israelis who support a two-state solution. We've talked about that. People want peace. Bibi is a right-wing military extremist, right? But just weeks ago, we were talking about Trump in the Oval Office saying, Iran, we might be going into Iran, and Israel's going to lead that. And we were like so close just weeks ago talking about how the U.S. was moving carriers to islands that are within flying distance to Iran to drop big bombs. We were talking about potential full-on war with Iran led by Israel, as Trump said to the press. And that was just weeks ago. What has changed, Seena?
The Qatari deal.
The money.
And the nuclear deal with the Qataris, helping out and talking to Trump, convincing him to make a deal with Iran. Like
nuclear deal with the Qataris?
Well, the Qataris are helping to negotiate between the U.S. and Iran.
Okay.
And so and the guys from Oman as well. And so
my Oman.
And so,
great musical.
There is a chance that this nuke deal, which will be almost identical to the one Obama did.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the incredible part.
It could include like literally a Starbucks opening in Tehran.
Which is that a win?
Dude.
You prefer
I don't think
a Pete's?
It's so like, does it give the people of Iran sanction relief, and will they potentially, if the Islamic Republic, I mean, they don't have proxies to send the money to like they used to. Hezbollah, unless they do the same thing, which they very well could, if they spend the money on actual investment coming in, if the money comes in from Americans, sorry, I almost vomited. You could have. I just go back to this one story. KFC opened in Iran, and they shut it down almost immediately because so many Iranians went there, and they didn't want too many people gathering for fried chicken. And agreeing that this was so great.
So great. See, there's a military guy I support, Colonel Sanders. Get him in there.
Well, that's my question. It really reminds me of the encroachment of capitalism into the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Like the McDonald's, we want blue jeans in Madonna, like that sort of thing. Like, is it, because that's always been America's most powerful, our most powerful takeover tool, our most powerful invasion tool has always been culture.
Yeah.
Like that's for at least since World War II. Like that's how America takes over is culture.
And if you look in Tehran right now, there's a lot of women that are just walking around with no hijabs. So that's been pushed. And that only is because the Islamic Republic is not enforcing it, because they know they want to keep things chill for now. They expand and contract their social policies in Iran depending on when it's convenient. Mm-hmm. They could crack down. This is a government that kills its own people at the drop of a dime.
Right.
So I don't know. The moral of all this, I don't think there's a moral. But I think the conclusion here is that we have to watch what Bibi's doing. I don't know what America's going to do. It's all very confusing. There's both more hope and doom happening at the same time than I've ever experienced.
So do you think if Israel decides to attack Iran today, they're doing it alone? Do you think we're not coming with them?
Wow. I my balls went up into my stomach when you said that. I don't know, man. I really, you can't tell. I don't know. And it also depends on the type of strike that Israel does. They could try to strike the nukes, the nuke sites.
Well, that's what I read, that it was going to be. But the intelligence says that it's going to be focused on the nukes. They're not just dropping bombs in the middle of Tehran.
And then the Islamic Republic would respond proportionally, presumably.
Yeah.
And what happens after that? Would America just say, okay, you responded, that's it? and that's kind of similar to what happened.
Like two kids fucking getting into a fight in the playground. Like each one gets in a punch, and then you separate them, and then that's all.
I mean, if people don't want to get, because the Islamic Republic knows they can't get into a hot war. The whole Arab League just got a bunch of F-35s.
Yeah, right. Oh boy.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like they got no proxies. The Houthis already made a deal without really giving a shit about what Iran said.
Yeah, all their proxies are making side deals.
Yeah, it's all a wrap kind of for their proxies. The axis of resistance is a wrap. And so, but you also have to remember when a fanatical power is backed into a corner, you don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, you really don't. One more question.
Please.
Like, do you think that this Middle East deal, do you think that this is sort of a turning of a tide when it comes to Islam being the driving force behind Middle Eastern politics? Like when it like as a whole, if all these other countries are willing to make deals with America, like is Iran far behind? Are the other ones are other countries that are much more in it far behind?
Actual Islam has never been the driving force for these countries.
Excuse me,
right?
Fundamentalist extremists.
But even those, the more fundamentalist extremists are the ones that are that much more capitalist and power hungry and that don't actually follow the Quran at all, right, at the end of the day. And that's what's interesting here. It's like, what, the Saudis? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, yeah.
Come on. All these people are just like,
Come on.
what do we do? WWE, Monday Night Raw and Saudi Arabia? Come on.
They want that, though. They want the wrestling.
I mean, that's the thing. I actually had earlier, like, after we came back from the break, like, I did have this, like, fucking flash in my mind of, like, holy shit, all of this is because of the WWE.
Yeah.
Like, this entire deal was started by Vince
Trump
McMahon.
is because of the WWE.
Yeah,
Trump.
Yeah, no,
that's where it started.
I watched the Mr. McMahon series, and I do believe that the WWE is going to be like such a massive part. It's like our history is going to be the WWE and 4chan. Like that's going to be what people talk about when it comes to this fucking era of idiocy.
But I think it's going to be a bit of a pivot, but we'll see. I think people, especially with AI and the tech infrastructure that everyone now knows that they need at a country's level, right? They need that stuff. You have to be in the game of capitalism or else you're going to get smoked.
Wow.
So
that is the thing about America, because Marcus said something there that made me think of that, is that our biggest export in a lot of ways is military equipment, but then our biggest soft export is the culture, and everyone just wants to be like us.
Yeah. Or
like you, Travis.
No, not me. God, Qatar, stay away.
Yeah. I also worry that that's coming to an end as well, because American culture, we don't have the fire hose that we once had. Like like American culture in the 80s and the 90s was an insane fire hose of music and movies and just this incredible stuff that could make people feel stuff and can make people change the way they think about things. It's not really. We don't really have that anymore. Like we don't have, like, we've got 2 or 3 massive pop stars. We've got superhero movies and remakes. Like the new American culture, as far as having a global effect, like it's just not out there. It doesn't have the American culture doesn't have the punch that it once had.
Right, and to kind of circle back,
and also fast food fucking sucks now.
You leave Colonel Sanders out of this. It worked in the Cold War. Right? But the afterthought, as we mentioned, in the Middle East, which is always that afterthought of the Cold War, does it actually work and get through there?
Yeah.
That's the real question. I think we all agree the answer is in Pete Hegseth's Signal chat.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk. I've got a great clip that we're going to come back from the break with about Trump, because we've basically, in a weird subtext, we said Trump has been kind of doing smart things.
Yeah.
And so stay tuned after the break. You're going to love this clip that we have. And we got some stuff on Kristi Noem, Seena Ghaznavi, Travis Irvine, Marcus Parks. This is a Foreign Report. We'll be right back after this.
Could you share just one of those examples of Putin making fun of Trump in Russian?
Well, one of the classics was in Osaka at the G20, which is also another famous incident where the Russians swapped out their interpreter for a very attractive, very skilled young woman during that moment, they were standing off and chest beating about who had hypersonic missiles first, and Trump was saying he would get them, and Putin was basically somewhat sarcastically saying, yes, you will, but I've got them first, kind of thing. And then they started talking about Israel. And we did have this really amazing historic meeting among the national security advisors of Israel, Russia, and the United States that came around this time, because at that point the Russians were trying to make the case that they were protecting Israel and being, supportive of Israel by being in the Golan Heights and the activities that they were doing in Syria. And Putin was talking about this, and then Trump said, but I do more for Israel than anybody else. They've named this after me and that after me in Israel. And Putin looked at him and said, well, Donald, perhaps they should name the country after you. And the way that he said it in Russian, it was so sarcastic. And you could see, kind of his guys around him smirking. But when the interpreter, who was the only person that Trump was looking at, basically said it, it just kind of came out as more sort of softer. And Trump responded and said, oh, no, I think that would be too much. Almost as if it was a kind of a genuine question. And there were other things like this where Putin would deliberately set him off, goading him to say terrible things about fellow Americans, be it Biden or Senator Warren, who we would call Pocahontas also to Putin. And look, I mean, honestly, I found that shocking, and I talked about that publicly, and I, said it in, written materials too. When your president throws you under the bus with a foreign leader who, really doesn't care for you in the slightest, it tells you something.
Welcome back to the Foreign Report. I'm Seena Ghaznavi, Travis Irvine, Marcus Parks. That was Fiona Hill, one of the former kind of like in his National Security Council on European and Russian affairs, talking about Putin making fun of Donald Trump.
Right to his face.
Right to his face, man. Woo. There's nothing. I mean, that.
But Putin covered it with flattery, which was interesting. Like, I'm flattering you, but it's a joke.
And goes back to I've made this before, but I never believed in the collusion. It's just vanity.
Right.
You just compliment the guy. He'll do whatever. He'll be chill. He likes how you're a tough guy. You say, I like you, tough guy. If you're a tough guy, hey, tough guy, you want to go to the tough guy drinks afterwards? Yeah. Oh, I don't drink. Okay, that's cool, tough guy. And like, he just does whatever you want. Yeah. I mean, we made such a big deal about these like deep throat kind of like collusion. No. It's simpler. The man has the attention span of a goldfish. You can't collude with a man like that.
I mean, the Russians are so fucking smart.
Yeah,
right.
Like that. That is, and I say that looking at studying Cold War history and looking at what they've done to us, like through manipulation, through social media. Like the Russians are so incredibly good at manipulation, and Putin is a former KGB guy. But he really doesn't have to be. Yeah. Like that's the incredible thing about it.
Butter him up.
Is that he just doesn't have to be. Like, to puppeteer America and and make us eat ourselves from the inside and convince us to pull out a fork and knife and dig into our own fucking stomachs to eat our own intestines, say this tastes really fucking good. Like, that's really smart. But to get Trump to do something, no. Like, you don't need master spycraft to break through that fucking facade.
Was it the Qataris, I think, on this trip were playing YMCA? A bunch of dudes in tournaments were playing. There's like a marching band. I was like, he's going to give them anything.
Right.
He's going to rename the Statue of Liberty. He's going to
twist my arm, butter it up. Well, speaking of people who know how to butter up Trump, we spent a lot of time talking about how Trump might be good, but you guys want to talk about some people who like to butter up Trump in his administration?
Nope. Well, that's the name of the game. That's how you stay inside.
That's how they got the job.
Yeah.
So we'll do a quick run around. As we mentioned, J.D. Vance didn't do anything bad this week because I think they finally realized everywhere they send him, something bad happens. He drops a trophy. He kills a pope. Ceena predicts the India-Pakistan conflict. They sent J.D. Vance there. It happens. They finally told him to stay the fuck home.
Well, he canceled the Israeli trip, so I think that's why we didn't have news.
We've averted war, everyone. Shout out to The Atlantic, though. They did a great article called The Talented Mr. Vance, a reference to The Talented Mr. Ripley. You may remember a Matt Damon movie where he pretends to be a thing that he's not, and that's kind of the J.D. Vance, chameleon act he's been doing for the last 10 years or so. So check that out from our friends at The Atlantic to make up for your lack of J.D. Vance news this week. Also, this guy, Sean Duffy, which every time I read about Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, I think of Sean P. Duffy Combs.
Oh, no,
what
don't. don't think about that.
I know I can't say that it'll get us removed from TikTok, but he is another sycophant who, remember a few weeks ago, Seena, when we were talking about insider trading, how when Trump says, I'm going to crash the stock market, everyone better sell, to his friends and his followers on Truth. Looks like it worked within his administration. Sean P. Duffy Combs, I'm sorry, I'll stop calling him that, sold between $75,000 and $600,000 of stock 2 days before Trump's February 13th announcement, and then up to $50,000 more that day.
$600 or shares?
$600,000 of stock, plus $75,000, plus $50,000. That, I think, you do the math, it's over $700,000 in stock. And he's in the administration with the guy.
Yeah.
So if you thought it was happening, guess what? Thanks to our friends at ProPublica, Seena, we now know it's happening. Insider trading. If you're inside the cabinet, get that money.
I mean, I have a law degree, but I didn't need a law degree to figure that one out.
Right. Exactly.
It's like, you're like, oh man, this is pretty clear. The one thing I did read about this recent China pause, though, was that Lutnick and Besson went into his office to pitch him the idea of doing the pause, and then stayed in the office. I just heard a journalist talking about this. I didn't verify this myself, but apparently they stayed in the office, waited for Trump to do the Truth Social post about the pause, and then left. And then Peter Navarro was like, what the fuck?
Right.
No idea.
Right. And we know from that clip we played from the congressional hearing that his own trade people didn't even know.
They never know. They never know.
Incredible.
All right, who's next?
And then last but totally least, there's a woman named Kristi Noem. She used to be governor of South Dakota.
Yep.
And you may remember her. She liked killing dogs.
I remember Kristi
Which
Noem.
here at Last Podcast Network, we like dogs.
We love dogs.
And so right away, a strike against her.
I like how it wasn't she killed a dog, is she likes to kill dogs.
Yeah, she enjoyed it. She,
enjoyed it enough to put it in a biography, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Devote
Write
a couple
about it.
paragraphs to
and
it.
then fantasize about it all the time.
Yeah.
I saw her face yesterday at the airport. When you fly through an airport, she's on the big TVs telling you to take off your shoes and stuff.
Yeah.
So
you made that sound like you saw her in person.
Oh, I did? Well, she was on the TV talking to me, and that feels sometimes like I'm hanging out in person.
So she's Department of Homeland Security.
Department of Homeland Security, very important job. And you would think someone who's in charge of the Department of Homeland Security would know what they're doing. Like Seena has a law degree. Surely they know some laws. Well, they dragged her in front of a congressional hearing in the Senate, and they asked her a simple question. Seena, I'm sure you learned this in law school. What is habeas corpus?
Yeah.
And this is Kristi Noem's answer? Question mark.
Secretary Noem, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff recently said that the Trump administration is actively looking at suspending habeas corpus. Last week, you were asked about this, and I want to clarify your position because it's obviously really important to get this right. So, Secretary Noem, what is habeas corpus?
Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right to.
Let me stop you, ma'am.
Suspend their
habeas
right
corpus. Excuse me. That's
perfect
incorrect.
answer.
Perfect answer.
Excuse me.
No
habeas
notes.
corpus is
No,
the legal principle
you're wrong,
that
Senator.
requires that the government provide a public reason for detaining and imprisoning people.
The constitutional right part was like, wait, what?
Wait, what?
I honestly, when she asked the question, I thought it was going to be like a level 2 or 3 discussion on habeas corpus, not like, do you even know what it is?
Do you know what that is?
It's a smart move. It really is a smart move. And they should start doing this more. Of asking these people, do you understand government? Like, do you understand how this works?
Yeah.
What the rules are? What the laws are? Like, do you have... Because that's the thing. You can't argue with these people if they're playing with a different rule book than you are.
Completely. The ways you learned how to argue in law school were I'm right, you're wrong, I'm right, and the third way, destroy the playing field.
Yeah.
And they have operated all the time on destroy the playing field.
Yeah, flip the board.
Flip the board, man. And if you say, oh my God, that answer was so disassociated from reality and the Constitution, the president's right to deport someone, to remove someone.
Well, it shows you where their perspective is.
Oh, yeah.
Their perspective, like it shows you what they want. It shows you what they think is that they want strongman Big Daddy, and they think that Donald Trump should have more rights than the American people. They have America completely backwards.
Right.
Here's a question for you. Cults.
Mm-hmm.
When I see a lot of his administration speak, there is like a glazed over kind of look about them.
Oh, yeah.
How do you see the Venn diagram of cult culture infiltrating the Trump administration?
1-to-1.
Wow. It's just
It's a one circle. It's one circle.
Yeah, the Venn diagram. Well, I think that there are definitely people there that are in it to
Enrich
make
themselves.
money.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely people there. There are people.
Sean Duffy.
Yeah, there are people in this administration that are smart enough to see that all I have to do is kiss ass and I will get what I want. I will be able to, make myself richer or more powerful or whatever it is that we have, or whatever it is that they can get. Then you have the second side of people that, you have more your Project 2025 people that are saying that, okay, we can use Trump to enact the policies that we want and we can use him as a vessel, the whole King Cyrus thing. But I do think a lot of people like Kristi Noem are definitely in this weird kind of feedback loop that's been going on for a long time now and has reached a fever pitch at this point. Because with cults, one of the hardest things when it comes to getting people out of a cult, and one of the things that keeps a cult going and keeps the momentum moving is the unwillingness or how difficult it is to say, I was wrong. How difficult it is to say, like, I don't believe like that. This
or even just not believing an element.
Even an element, yeah, because you have to defend so much. Like you have to just keep defending every little thing, and you have to keep defending, and you start defending small things, and then you have to defend bigger things. And the more you defend, and the bigger excuses that you give, and the more mental gymnastics that you have to do, the more it isolates you away from everybody else and isolates you within this own little world. And that's happened not just with the people in the administration, it's happened with so many people in their families, it's happened with their friends, with their colleagues, their coworkers. People isolate themselves within this world because that is the world that they built for themselves just through having to defend these bad decisions. And then you look around and you realize, like, this is the only world that I know. This is the only world I have left. Some people are able to get out at that point. Very, very few. At this point, when you look at cults, at this point, the only thing that usually makes the whole thing go away is the death of the cult leader, but even then, sometimes it just keeps fucking going. Sometimes it just keeps going. The momentum is too strong. Even if you remove the cult leader, for example, like Charles Manson, they removed Manson from the equation, and still it took them years to deprogram those girls.
Wow.
And there were people that they were still committing crimes for Manson on the outside. There's this whole like insane gun store robbery like that occurred after Manson was already put away. But I think where a lot of people are when it comes to Trump these days, they're in too deep and they don't know or don't want to know how to say, I was wrong, and they are stuck.
That point of you have to be on the defensive all the time, I could see that so clearly, especially when you're on social media. You see everything kind of like, and the algorithm is going to show you stuff to upset you.
Yeah.
And it is going to make you more defensive, and it's going to make you look at more stuff. It's going to give you more attention on that stuff. Fox News, I mean, all of the corporate media people are just gamifying that outrage.
It's made to make you angry. And you're not just talking about it on social media. You're not just going on and arguing with people. You're thinking about it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But it invades your brain. It invades your mind. And you're just thinking about it. And you're having imaginary arguments in your head with people you've never met. With people you may never meet. But just in case you come across this one person that may push back against your beliefs, you're sitting there and you're arguing. And it becomes reality.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, the core of it is that just these people are living in a different reality than the rest of us are living with him.
I never have imaginary arguments with commenters.
No, you never don't. No. I know you don't do
I don't
that.
read them. I don't think about them. You know what? I don't bring them up in a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely don't do that. Nope, not me. I'm above all of it.
There you go.
Marcus, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I love coming on the show.
This is
Thank you.
I'm sorry to the
political.
YouTube subscribers. There's some questions here. I couldn't get to them. We're so over. Thank you, everyone. Travis, as always, thank you. The Foreign Report LPN at gmail.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to all of our things. Please say nice things to it. I don't care what you say.
There you go.
There you
go.
There you go.
We won't read them.
Please say nice things. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.